This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Therapy Online. When life gets challenging, it can be difficult to stay in problem-solving mode. Instead of focusing on the negative, talking with a therapist can help you stay on higher ground. Visit betterhelp.com/allies and learn to focus on the positive.
Hello, welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'm Daniel Bloodworth, coming to you from Los Angeles, California, where hopefully our heat wave will end soon.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, it's supposed to. It's
supposed to rain
we
this
might get
week.
rain. We got.
It's supposed to rain with the hurricane,
We're
and
gonna
then
get
we're
the edge
getting
of a hurricane.
equivalent of Santa Ana winds, which is going to make it even hotter than it.
Oh, yeah.
Because last time a
Not
hurricane
what
hit,
I've been
they said it got
forecast
hotter.
I've been watching, but we'll see.
Bring it on, baby.
We'll find out.
Bring on the heat.
Get
man.
this
Easy
apocalypse
chilling, I'll
going
keep-
Yeah,
faster.
where's the mega flood? I'm waiting for this.
Make the apocalypse happen faster. Just get it over with. Put us out of our misery.
This week, I'm joined by Isla Hink,
Hi.
Michael Damiani.
Yo, can we react to the hurricane?
I'm going to be reacting if the roof leaks, breaks more
This
stuff.
is true. We've been.
I got several
needing a
roofs I'm worried
rainstorm
about
to
now.
just determine whether the roof is fixed.
Yeah, we haven't known if the roof is fixed.
Huber was gonna be here, but was not feeling well. So
He got a tummy ache.
best wishes to Huber.
We're going to delay reaction shots.
Okay.
That won't matter. Never mind.
That's fine. That's
Don't
fine.
worry.
Good for people to know.
Midnight
Yeah.
tonight, Huber will feel a lot better when Cobra Kai drops.
The game of the show.
Season
Oh.
5. Let's
Game's
go.
so loyal. I don't
Again.
think they actually put a date on the game. And in the control room, we've got Don Casanova making everything happen, and Gabby doing work.
She gave a peace sign for listeners.
We're here to discuss some of the biggest headlines in video games this week. The back and forth over Call of Duty's future continues. Splitgate's devs are wrapping things up to work on a sequel, and we're going to talk about some beat-em-ups. But before we get started, we need to choose a workout buddy.
Woo!
Friends, we're in the process of training our custom character, Dawn Romantica, that's D-A-W-N. Each week, patrons submit video game characters for Dawn to work out with, raising her stats with every session. It's up to us to choose the right workout buddies to get her into shape for the adventures that await her ahead. Last week, we chose Roxas from Kingdom Hearts, who sparred with Dawn in a struggle match, then took her out for salt ice cream, giving Dawn +1 swordsmanship and a temporary -1 constitution if Dawn is lactose intolerant.
How do we know?
I'm about to find out.
Oh!
So first, we have to find out if Dawn is lactose intolerant. Isla will roll.
I am lactose intolerant. Okay, I don't know what the rolls will
Is
the
the name of this character Dawn? Dawn?
D-A-W-N.
Dawn.
Sounds like you're saying Dawn, though, not Dawn.
Dawn, we're not even going to figure
Just
that
letting
out.
you know.
Dawn Romantica.
Pronounced Dawn.
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 That's the W.
Yeah, he's
Dawn.
Dawn, she's Dawn. Dawn.
Dawn.
4.
We got a 4. Dawn is not lactose intolerant.
There you go.
What?
Dawn.
Was it just like above 3 or something?
Yeah, above 3.
See, I thought above 3 would be lactose intolerant. Never mind. Dawn is just in there screaming
There's
about
some
something.
sidebar going on right now.
Right.
We can hear you through the walls, Dawn.
Okay, sorry. Did you hear the difference there? Dawn.
I already
There's no
understood the
difference
difference.
for any normal
I already
person.
understood the difference. Bloodworth doesn't get it.
Okay.
I'm on your team, Dawn, for the first time ever.
In any case, she's not lactose intolerant, so here are this week's potential candidates. From V8 Dave, Doc from Punch-Out.
Got it.
Doc from Punch Out.
Oh, okay.
The activity, we would go under the night sky along the New York City riverfront. We'll be sweating it up in a pink sweatsuit while Doc rides alongside on his bicycle shouting encouraging words. Catchphrase, join the Nintendo fan club today. From Mighty Omega, famed galactic warrior Samus Aran
Oh my God.
has countless skills she could pass on to Dawn. However, she has deemed one more valuable than any other: the secrets of the ball.
Ooh.
Never underestimate how useful it can be to slip into tight spaces or sneak out of sight by simply curling up and rolling around. You'll have to book a separate lesson to learn how to plant bombs, though.
Oh, okay.
That's hard, yeah.
Yeah.
And our third option, from Son of Sparta, Ichiban Kasuga from Yakuza Like a Dragon. The workout would be collecting discarded cans from the streets using a bicycle, working up a sweat while keeping the environment clean and making a little bit of money on the side by selling the cans. Ichiban's catchphrase he'll occasionally shout out Dragon Quest, at which point you'll take a break to play some Dragon Quest with him, learning the true meaning of bonds and forging an everlasting friendship with him.
Did Huber write this?
You can
Yeah.
tell I picked this stuff with Huber in
Yeah,
mind.
Huber was in
We
mine.
got the bait.
So,
Yeah, I mean, with
Although
this crew, I feel like I know.
Blood was a
where
little
this-
self-indulgent though with
Yeah.
the Metroid, but I'm surprised you can't hear the Dawn difference, but you definitely hear the difference in Samus, Aaron, and Iran, right?
sure.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Now it's getting notched up to a whole new level. This is early in the podcast. This is intense.
But yeah, I mean, all three are great, but I
Yeah.
gotta go Samus. Like,
Samus Virila.
balling up?
Yeah, the secrets
God
of the
tier, dude.
ball. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I understand you don't get the power bomb, but just being able to do that. But I do have to question. Balls are good, but like Samus still won't be able to crawl,
Sure.
so that's a problem.
Crawls,
Well,
not
Samus
balls.
name
Yeah.
doesn't mean that Dawn.
Balls, not
Yeah.
crawls, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. That's a
Dawn
good slogan.
Dawn potentially still can.
But making some extra money and playing Dragon Quest, that's very tempting too.
How do you make money playing Dragon?
Well, no, making money and picking up the cans on the
cans,
bike.
Sonic
Yeah.
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 Dawn, do you have a pick? Well, Damiani decides.
It's pronounced Dawn.
No. Did I need to pick
Yes,
one?
you need to pick one.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know
Doc
that.
from Punch Out, Samus Aran, or Ichiban Kasuga.
Changed.
What am I
Oh, you went
picking?
from
I'm just
Iran to
picking any
Aaron.
of these characters?
Samus Aran.
Okay,
Whatever
I'll just
you
pick
want.
Samus.
I don't care.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on, but I'll pick Samus.
I don't know what's going. He was out.
All right,
last
that's
week.
two. Yeah, I'll stick with Samus too.
Okay, so we're going with Samus. That gives Dawn +1 to flexibility.
Dawn.
Whoa,
Flexibility.
Dawn are on.
This is a bonkers character.
Yeah, so
sheet.
now our stats are +1 strength, +1 swordsmanship, +1 flexibility.
This is a dream lady.
Thanks to everyone who entered a candidate. If you want to submit a workout buddy, become a patron at $5 or above, and watch out for the Love and Respect post, which I usually put up each Monday or Tuesday. Dawn is on her way to the locker room, and now we must answer for the mistakes we made in last week's episode. Dawn, begin corrections music, please.
Boom.
I said Halo Infinite launched November 15, 2021. It did not.
Oh my goodness.
It launched on December 8th. It was the multiplayer beta that
Yeah.
launched in November.
Yeah.
And while you could argue that that's a soft launch, we were discussing campaigns and features and everything, things getting delayed. So the full December release date is what we should have referenced.
Very disappointed.
I got caught by Google on that one.
Oh, really?
Google threw me off because you Google
Right.
Halo Infinite launch date and
Right.
put this big date up there.
Yeah.
for the wrong
So we're
date.
passing
Right.
the blame to Google now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I mean, it's
mean-
still my fault, but yeah.
The machines are there to help us, but we have to fact check them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are 3 Mercedes-Benz carts in Mario Kart 8.
Oh.
The GLA, the W25 Silver Arrow, and the 300 SL Roadster. You can also get GLA tires for use on any cart. We asked how well Quantic Dream's games sell, but
Yeah.
someone pointed out that other developers also hire them for their motion capture studio and expertise,
Okay.
including Ubisoft, Don't Nod, Arcane, From Software, and more.
That makes sense. I mean, that was sort of what I was theorizing, is that they're good at some other tech thing, and that's why they're valuable.
Yeah, I mean they're super
that's
good.
what it is.
Like,
Yeah.
Remember some
Oh,
of those,
yeah.
like, the
Visually
GDC demos and
amazing,
stuff back
yeah.
in the day. Yeah.
What's her name?
From
Kara or
Soft-
whatever?
Kara, yeah.
Kara, the robot one, was so good.
We also wondered whether Under the Waves was the first external game for them to publish. They also published the Switch version of Sea of Solitude, which was published by EA on other platforms.
Quantic Dream did?
Yeah.
Huh.
And they first announced that they would start publishing games from smaller studios in 2020, when they signed Dustborn from Red Thread Games, but that game is actually still on the way as well. If you have a correction, leave it in the YouTube comments on either the public version or the Patreon version of this podcast. Use the word correction so I can find your comment, and leave a timestamp so I can remember what the heck we were talking about. End corrections music.
Boop.
All right. The big thing, the back and forth thing this week, and the past few weeks actually, the Call of Duty exclusive debates. And basically what's been going on is with the Activision Blizzard deal, there's a lot of regulators going around questioning how this is going to impact competition, how it's going to impact the industry. People concerned that it's going to adversely affect Sony if Call of Duty became an Xbox exclusive. And there's been a lot of talk about it. And we talked about some things that Phil Spencer said last week. He was basically saying like, hey, you know what? It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be like Minecraft. You know, we're just gonna put it out there. We're not gonna keep it to ourselves. It'll be everywhere. Jim Ryan this week called him out.
Okay.
So that's not the deal we were sent. Basically.
Oh.
So basically, Phil Spencer had told The Verge that we provided a signed agreement to Sony to guarantee Call of Duty on PlayStation with feature and content parity for at least several more years beyond the current Sony contract, an offer that goes well beyond typical gaming industry agreements. And then this week, Jim Ryan told GameIndustry.biz, I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be a private business discussion. But I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer brought this into the public forum. Microsoft has only offered for Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years after the current agreement between Activision and Sony ends. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on many levels and failed to take account of the impact on our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. And while we don't know the exact details of the Activision agreement, it sounds like it covers the next 3 games, including the one coming out this year. So the math puts the combined agreements to like 2027 would be...
Assuming 1 game per year.
Yeah.
So is like Phil putting this in the public forum to then pass the buck to PlayStation? Like if they don't like the deal, then Microsoft can be like, well, hey, we were being really nice. We gave them this deal. And then Sony said, no, I don't know. You know, it's like, is that the game he's playing? Sounds kind of like it, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean...
If the negotiations weren't done yet, that's kind of weird to talk about them.
Right. Well, again, this goes back to the regulators, right? Like it's Phil is trying to assure the regulators and appeal the broader audience to say like, hey, no, we're not. And it's funny because it all revolves just around Call of Duty. Like they're not making any promises about Diablo or Overwatch, and like nobody even seems to be.
It's because Call of Duty makes like precipitously more money than all of those things combined. Right. I feel like.
Damiani, yeah.
Yeah, I guess is Phil doing this because from their perspective, they want like in perpetuity to have access to Call of Duty. I think they just, this sounds like he's just protecting that interest and that no amount of years afterwards, like eventually we will not have Call of Duty or, we'll have the same access.
Well, Jim Ryan, you mean, yeah.
So it's different. Yeah, Jim Ryan is
I
claiming
heard
this,
in there too, like, we want our exclusive map deals. We want our exclusive window deals that they've had before.
True, yeah.
Like, because they've always had, it's been like a tete-a-tete where it's like, this year PlayStation got the exclusive thing.
Well, they went generationally. So 360 had all of that stuff.
Right.
PS4 got it.
So, like, I wonder if that's part of it too, where like Microsoft's wording somewhere implies Sony won't get like perks. It's just like, you get the game and the maps, and we'll do all the special stuff ourselves.
It sounds like they're losing that stuff, or will be losing it at some point. And when you have Phil Spencer saying that, we're gonna treat it like Minecraft, but like Minecraft is ubiquitous at this point, and probably will be ubiquitous forever. Like it'll be everywhere, but like that won't necessarily be Call of Duty because they internally, it sounds like Jim Ryan and their team know how many years they have on that PlayStation, like that deal, and it's like after that it will change. Whereas like Minecraft, like you're treating that like anyone can have it, everyone gets all the content, and the cash will keep flowing. So it's like it's affecting their bottom line. It's one of the biggest things. I mean, they bring in a lot of like digital sales as well, like their storefront. I mean, how many times have we covered that like. The PlayStation storefront brings in so much money, like percentage-wise. So, like, a lot of that has to be attributed to yearly Call of Duty stuff as well. So I think they're just looking at their bottom line, or like, and Jim Ryan's just like, yeah, no, like you're trying to be like the hero here, it's sounding good and like appeasing, but like from a business, you're gonna be screwing us over.
That's the thing that's weird though to me is like, if you own Call of Duty. Don't you just make more money if it's on more things?
Well, that's one of the things that Phil has said, but I think the Jim Ryan point gets back to is this idea that like, well, if they own it,
right, then
the deal is the limitation of what we can really count on, right?
Yeah.
It's like Phil can have all the intentions in in of
he can say whatever he wants.
Right. Then the next guy will just yank it. Yeah.
Exactly. And like GamesIndustry.biz pointed out, like they weren't really saying anything about Bethesda's games going exclusive until the deal was done. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, now we're starting to see some of these big games.
That's a good point. The ink isn't even dry yet on the Activision thing, right?
Well, that's the point. Is
the regulators
are trying to decide whether they should be allowed to buy Activision.
Yeah,
right.
That's why these arguments are coming up.
And maybe that's why Jim Ryan is like putting a little wedge in there too, like trying to sully the deal or something.
Yeah. Well,
this is some nasty level, like high level business shenanigans.
Yeah. This stuff was already happening, like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But now it's been brought up.
I've seen Succession. Stuff. Yeah. I know how nutcase this stuff gets.
But yeah, it's just. It's crazy to think of like it doesn't even really matter what the intentions are because it's like the ramifications are so huge.
Yeah, it's also weird that like we know who these guys are. Mm-hmm. Like we know what they look like. I can picture them both in my head. It's like they're like pseudo celebrities in the gaming sphere, and that's kind of weird of business people.
Right.
Like I don't know. That's just kind of interesting that I can picture these guys doing these weird, shitty business things.
Yeah. So far, it felt like all these like acquisitions were kind of like, oh, everyone's nice. We're all playing happy together. And this is like the first time I think it's kind of spilled into the public about maybe behind the scenes, like it's not all everyone's not happy. Like there is some like either, displeasure with like possible arrangements. And again, I think Phil Spencer was just angling to, PR spin. They're just trying to put the positive spin on here. Obviously, this hasn't been, as you said, the ink isn't dry. It hasn't, who knows if it will ever close and when. But I mean, they have to start selling that up for their products and their services. So they're getting it out there. And obviously, Jim was like twofold. It's like, as you said, Jim Ryan's like, maybe this is like, will raise some red flags to, the regulators, but also to consumers. It's like, like you can't have your cake and eat it here too, bud. Like this is, you don't get to like play like the the hero here. You're really like taking away potentially access from some people down the line. I think everything will end up working out. I think
probably
Sony's just unhappy about not being in the driver's seat anymore.
Right.
That's really what this is about.
Yeah, I mean, in Damiani, Sony's no stranger to exclusives.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, like how many Final Fantasy games have they had exclusive? How many? Street Fighter V is and a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's done that. I think even with Final Fantasy though, I mean it was a big deal when that broke exclusivity with Sony when it went to 13, went to 360 as well. But again, it can't touch like Call of Duty. I think it's just the size, the scope of Call of Duty is so huge, and it's just very important to them. And again, Sony, I mean, but you could flip the script a little bit and be like, Sony, you're just going to taste your own like medicine, but like they all have been doing this for a while. Mm-hmm. Like it's like, to me, I don't have like a horse in this race. It's just like, it's business people doing business things, and it's like cool as long as I can play a game and it's like not like trash quality and it's not microtransaction to death or gotcha to death or whatever, like I'm happy at the end of the day. But
It's kind of funny to think about that the game release schedules and the like business dealings they're not unrelated, but they're kind of exclusive of each other, where it's like these games, they're going to keep working on them.
Right.
They're going to come out roughly when they're going to come out. If this deal is done or not, will that impact that? Like, who knows? Like,
well, and as you
Could be
mentioned, like
interesting.
if
Could
it's
get
not
weird if it
exactly
goes on and on
a
and
year, if it's not about years, if it's about how many games.
releases,
Right.
yeah.
And if Microsoft says, hey, let's slow down on
Right.
Call of Duty releases, or the other way around, you
or
know,
let's put out 3 really shitty Call of Duty games real quick, and then
Yeah.
that counts, you know?
Yeah. Also, again, last point, a blow to like Sony's marketing. Call of Duty has been a huge part of their
Right, right.
marketing and their brand awareness, so
Yeah.
they will be losing that as well, or at
Yeah.
least again, not able to have full control over that language and then the approach.
But here's the question, Damiani. 'Cause So beyond the fact that like everybody merging together is bad in a general sense, right? Isn't Microsoft getting Call of Duty making them more competitive? Because Xbox is like
Losing.
it's the underdog
Yeah.
worldwide.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
Yeah.
it's maybe not a gigantic gap. They're doing fine. And Microsoft
But
is
Microsoft,
obviously
the
a bigger
company,
company.
yeah.
so that's where it
That's the
gets
thing.
weird. It's like as a division, yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
as a console,
Yeah,
as a company, no.
Yeah, it's just different things. And honestly, that phrasing might be turned on its head when we look at it from different angle of like service-based revenue. Is maybe Microsoft ahead in service-based revenue versus like units sold? Like that metric might not be as valuable
Yeah.
down the road either. So the landscape's always shifting with that. But at the same time, I think to a layman right now, yes, like Microsoft is like trailing behind Sony PlayStation, has been for last gen and this gen. It's like, oh yeah, but I mean, it's like fine if they get it, but I also think a lot of people just won't care, like won't even think about it that way. Like to us, we think about that, we recognize, yes, like this might help Microsoft, get an edge. It might move more systems, and hey, in those monthly MPDs, they might be neck and neck again, and like that forces them to be more aggressive. And like usually, competition leads to better things under capitalism or something. Whatever.
Well, and it's not like Sony doesn't get a piece of the pie anyway. Because like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they own Blu-ray technology, and like those are in Xboxes, so they get a few cents per unit.
Yeah.
I think
Which
that
is
yeah,
kinda funny.
they're probably part of a group. But
Yeah. I my understanding was that it was like Philips was HD DVD and Sony was primarily Blu-ray, but maybe that's not right.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like kind of funny that every unit moved, Sony gets a little sliver of it too.
Well, and Sony just got Bungie, right? So they've got Destiny, and so it's kind of again not as big as Call of Duty, but it's sort of a similar thing. It's like, well, right now they're keeping Destiny on everything, but
Right.
what if Sony decides to retaliate?
Well, especially with that, maybe is Destiny ending the storyline? Does that have to do with the acquisition? Like, who knows?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think so.
I
But
doubt
it's
it, but
interesting
never know.
to think through all these things. Also, 5 years, long way off.
That's when the story ends.
No, I mean the potentially when the Call of Duty contract, current contract would end.
Yeah. Assuming one game per year. Yeah.
It's like, could that be leverage for like Xbox to be like, hey, put Game Pass on PlayStation so that your players can keep playing Call of Duty?
Ooh. Ooh. Of course, in 5 years,
It's like, who knows?
who knows? It'll be 260 degrees Fahrenheit outside. We'll all have evolved gills in our elbows from the radiation, So who knows what we'll be playing on?
Yeah, like the Samsung TV thing starting
Yeah.
up, and they've got like 4 or 5 different streaming services going on
Yeah.
there.
LA will be 6 feet underwater.
Yeah, I guess you were right. Blood actually, Sony is just a part of a founder group actually. So it's
For
a part-
Blu-ray?
Yeah, it's an association of companies that actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sony was maybe one of the larger ones.
I thought they were the bigger part of it, but who knows?
It's called not committee, but something. Yeah, same thing happened with DVD.
Yeah.
Just a C, I forget the word.
Commission, coalition,
Coalition sounds close, but I don't think it's it.
cabal.
Not collective, but I think again, average person just wants to be able to play their game wherever they want to play on any platform. So taking it away access is an issue. But like this is kind of maybe like it's analogous to like cable companies and stuff back in the day,
right?
Where like
you
you don't have this programming anymore. So like your thing about not having like put Game Pass on PlayStation, I think it's just going to lead to different negotiation tactics these companies will have to use, because at the end of the day, it's better for both of them when this stuff is available everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just who's getting a bigger cut of what, and not interrupting that flow of content to the average consumer, because they, at the end of the day, don't care as long as they get to play their stuff. But you are right that like if it's not gonna, like if they're really just like trying to like arm themselves up for like, oh, we need to have better exclusives. I mean, this is what they have to do. They have to go out and gobble up these like big, like keep trying to outpace each other, because obviously Sony was always constantly winning when everyone had the same like third-party titles on both platforms. Like the first-party exclusives were like not doing it for whatever reason. No comment on like quality or anything. That just like, you know, since the 360 generation, PS4, PS5, it's just been that. And then before that, it was like PS1, PS2. It was just like they really have dominated with that. So Microsoft really has to try and do something else. And like these are just steps they're taking. I think to like be more competitive, to like future proof as well.
Right.
Yeah, this is just stuff they need to do, and unfortunately just the way things are going. But again, as long as people get their games on time and play them, and they'll be happy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Smaller dev news. The devs of Splitgate have basically announced that they're ending primary development and moving on to a sequel. And essentially the game is still been in beta.
I was going to say, did that game even come out?
Right. So
it's not that old.
It's essentially leaving beta on the 15th, but here's the details. Last Friday, Splitgate developers 1047 announced that they are transitioning to a new project in the Splitgate universe running on Unreal Engine 5. So this is basically a technology issue.
Engine bump.
The upcoming season, releasing September 15th, will be the last major iteration for the title. And if you're not familiar with the game, Splitgate is basically like Halo plus Portal.
It's pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, we did a stream
cool
of it last year or sometime, I think. But yeah, I think it hit really well. It's a smaller team, but a lot of people like in the like early access alpha phase like really gravitated to it. It blew up like gigantically.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, a game 1.0ing meant it was out and that's it.
Right.
So it is kind of funny that like that is so foreign now.
Game has been out for like probably 2 years or something. I don't know the exact date that it was first available for people to start playing.
It's just so funny, yeah, that it's changed so much.
They've had some good holiday events, you know, and like I think in some ways like they've really like kept their player base happier than Halo itself has.
Oh, sure.
You know, still not on the same like scale, but I think there's a lot of people that are like playing Splitgate, saw Halo Infinite came out, played it, went back to Splitgate.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But from their FAQ, we will be removing the beta tag when our final season releases on September 15th. But internally, we're not considering this the big worldwide launch we plan to celebrate. From the press release, after careful consideration and much deliberation, the 1047 team has determined that in order to build the game that fans deserve, and to build it in a way that isn't trying to retrofit our existing game, we are turning our attention away from iterative, smaller updates and going all in to focus on a new game in the Splitgate universe, which will present revolutionary, not just evolutionary changes to the gameplay. Splitgate will remain online and supported for our dedicated community who have been the backbone of our studio from our earliest playtests on PC. Our community means everything to us, and we can't wait to share what's next with them.
Man, decisions like that, especially as a smaller studio, have to be so nerve-wracking. Like, you're risking fewer players in your current game with a hope to, you know, make a bigger, better, badder thing to get a bigger, wider audience, you know? And it's like, that could backfire in any number of ways. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't envy that kind of decision making. We've had to make choices like that around here too, but nothing like probably like that. But like, it stresses me out just thinking about it.
Right.
Being like, do we abandon this game? How do we phrase that in the press release? Like, we're not celebrating a big launch, but we're not giving up, but we are giving up, but we're moving on. It's just like, stressful, man.
I feel like they really have seem to believe in this new project because generally I feel like you'd go the opposite way, kind of like what Among Us did when they were working on a sequel.
Right,
and they're
yes.
like, oh, wait a second, why don't we just consolidate on the thing that's
Right.
successful and stick with that instead of potentially trying to make everyone, all the issues you're talking about, like, let's not risk that. So they clearly have something that they believe in and think will be like have greater potential. So it might not be quite as analogous, but from like the cursory talks we've had about like Overwatch, from my understanding, is like Overwatch 2, it's like we want you to move on. Like we want you push this.
But
not
like then given the fan reaction to Overwatch 2,
Yeah.
where it's just like, should this not have just been an update? Like
Yeah.
an
There's
expansion?
different
Like why have you
contexts.
done this?
I feel like there's different context there, obviously, and
Absolutely.
everything.
Yeah,
so like
absolutely.
this, and you saying it's going to be on Unreal Engine 5, you
Yeah.
know, and this provides new opportunities for them. I mean, just from like a tech and visual standpoint, it could stand out more and, you know, get picked up in like presentations and be a little bit more of a standout. So it just gets more exposure. So
Migrating between Unreal Engines, to my very limited understanding, isn't too impossible.
I'm
So
not
I
sure what
wonder-
engine Splitgate currently is
Yeah,
on,
if
though,
it wasn't
so-
on Unreal 4, then yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows?
yeah, but I mean, they said like a new project in the universe is like, is it even going to be the same
Is it a
type
story?
of game? You
Yeah,
know,
is
like
it a campaign?
Yeah,
That's
And
what I was thinking.
you have to imagine they're going to take things that worked well in the existing, still beta right now, and work that into the new project, as well as like whatever new things they want to try with that. So, you know what, it can make sense. I don't know what it's running on currently.
It's running on Unreal 4.
Okay, so
Thanks.
I don't know if they would really be hampered by that. Like some developers, maybe they're on an old engine. It's like we've hit the limitations.
Yeah.
We have grand ideas. We cannot get it to run on
Obviously,
this.
it's not
Yeah.
something you just click a button and it's perfect,
Yeah.
but
Right.
like it's not impossible.
I would imagine.
Well, particularly when the game's currently live. Too,
Yeah, true. That's- yeah.
presents its own problems.
The other thing could be like it's how small the team is. It might just be too
Yeah.
much resources to even do that type of transfer job. Like, well, let's just do a clean slate. It'll be somebody just did their math and homework, said it's just easier for us to start a brand new project and try and transfer all this over to Unreal
Yeah.
Engine 5. And again, same reasons. They might have different ideas that Unreal Engine 5 will allow them to do, and they want to try them out.
I don't remember if Splitgate. I'm trying to remember if it has in-game purchases. I don't remember.
I don't remember them either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, will the game still earn revenue for them as they're working on this new one?
Yeah,
Like,
well, I think
who
it
knows?
will. I mean, it sounds like, you know, this new update is it's a beefy update for sure.
Okay.
And it sounds like it's built to like keep things running while they're not
Interesting.
adding anything else. But,
Okay. Yeah, because I always worry with.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to tell you, Isla, that it does have.
Okay.
Split coin. Split coin. is the
Split
in-game
coin!
Oh
version.
my gosh.
That sounds like such a cryptocurrency. Oh my god. But yeah, I mean, like, it is such a gamble to like. Does a press release like what percentage of your audience do you lose with a press release like this? I guess none, because most people don't look at press releases
Right.
besides us. So anyone listening to this podcast, tell us if this makes you not want to play Splitgate anymore.
Yeah. But at least, you know, you still have this big new thing coming out next week.
Yeah.
To dig into.
Splitgate is cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool game. I actually would love a campaign in that universe, like thinking of a polished Unreal 5 FPS where you're portaling. That'd be awesome. Like against enemies, AI enemies. That'd be really cool. And of course, obviously, that would have an iteration of the multiplayer in it too, probably. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it really
maybe that's
sounds
what it
like they want to make a bigger, better game, and they can't do that while also thinking about how to keep adding maps and everything else.
It makes sense if your team
Yeah.
is small, for sure.
Yeah. In more financial crazy news,
Yes.
Ubisoft is basically using Tencent to fend off takeovers.
They've been trying to find a way to. People have been trying to hostile take over Ubisoft for like decades.
Yeah. So
It's like insane.
it's been, I don't know all of the different instances, but Vivendi was back in
Yeah.
2018, and they
It's
were
like
fending that
almost
off.
comical.
Yeah, and who knows who else has knocked on those doors. But yeah, they've been trying to do strategy after strategy to make sure that they stay in control as a company, and the Guillemot family,
Yeah, it's a family, right?
in particular, yeah. And so Here's essentially what they're doing. The long story short is that Tencent is investing in the Guillemot Brothers Limited, which in turn gives the family more resources to invest into Ubisoft.
That is hilarious. So they're getting a cash infusion from Tencent to just invest more in their own company.
Right.
That's so funny.
And then let me pull up the details.
But then does
There's a lot
Tencent
of
get a-
nitty-gritty here.
Yeah, like what is Tencent?
Yeah,
getting
does
out of
Tencent
this?
get a cut of Guillermo? The Guillemot, like, take home or something? Like, this is so weird.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is Ubisoft is going to be doing PC and mobile games for China.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the transaction details: Tencent acquires a 49.9% economic stake with 5% voting rights in Guillemot Brothers Limited. So it's like they basically like no say, but
Wait,
a little bit of say.
50% stake with 5% voting rights? That seems weird.
Tencent's investment amounts to 300 million euros, 200 million euro share acquisition, and 100 million euro capital increase.
These days, that's like $150 million.
At an implied valuation for Ubisoft of 80 euro per share. In addition, Tencent is providing the Guillemot Brothers Limited with a long-term unsecured loan to refinance its debt and provide additional financial resources that can be used to acquire equity in Ubisoft. Guillemot Brothers Limited remains exclusively controlled by the Guillemot family. Tencent will not be represented on its board of directors and will not obtain any consent or veto rights over the business.
So wait, was the 49% share in Ubisoft?
No, that's in the
In
Guillemot
Guillemot?
Brothers.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, and now here's where the Ubisoft impact comes up. So this is the expansion of Ubisoft Founders Concert. The Guillemot family concert with respect to Ubisoft is extended to include Tencent. The expanded concert may increase its stake to 29.9% of Ubisoft's capital or voting rights. Within this limit, Guillemot Brothers Limited and the Guillemot family may each increase their equity ownership in Ubisoft. Additionally, Ubisoft's board of directors has authorized Tencent to increase its direct stake in Ubisoft from 4.5% to 9.99%
There it is.
of the
Okay.
capital or voting rights. Tencent will not be able to sell its shares in Ubisoft for a period of 5 years, and beyond will give the Guillemot family a right of priority, and will not be able to increase its stake in Ubisoft beyond 9.99% of Ubisoft's capital and voting rights for a period of 8 years.
Wow.
As a result of this transaction, Ubisoft's governance will remain unchanged, and Tencent will not have any operational veto rights.
Wow. They just slayed him. From my understanding, that sounds like a very good deal for the Guillemot family.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the 9% stake up from 4 that's big money. Like, that's good stuff for Tencent. So they're not completely getting fleeced, I think. I mean, again, I'm not a financial wizard.
I don't know all the ways that it.
Yeah. Like, I
it's
understood
harder for
all
me
the
to
words you
understand how
said.
Tencent benefits
Yeah.
as much.
Well, they're doubling their share. So
yeah, they're getting the shares of a company that theoretically will turn around in a couple of years.
Hence the time limit. Like, hence you can't back out on this, because this deal could impact the stock too. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. I feel overwhelmed as well.
Sure.
Like I need like
It's hard to wrap your head around.
yeah, like a
Even
lawyer,
reading
someone to like
multiple
just like
times.
break it down and be like, what's brass tacks with this? But yeah, it seems like they're playing like the long game in terms of it's a long-term investment.
Yeah.
We help them turn around. We're gonna get increased profits from them, and over this amount of years, turn a profit, and then, as you alluded to earlier, potentially like new business relationships, potentially in Tencent's like home market or in other worldwide markets where they could partner with Ubisoft, even though they don't have a way to force them. It would be beneficial to both parties because it just improves both their bottom lines.
Right.
Well, and it's in keeping with both parties' like general strategy. Like, Ubisoft wants to keep it in the family. Tencent, like you were saying last week, I think, just loves to invest 9% in everybody.
Yeah.
And like just wants to own a little bit of everybody's pie instead of Embracer or whoever who wants to own everybody. It's just a different tactic.
Yeah. Tencent has purchased studios.
Sure.
But yeah, they have a lot of smaller investments all over the place.
Yeah, it sounds like what's it called, diversification or whatever.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you invest in a lot of stuff. Also wonder if there's just maybe like how their size just in general, again, going off the Call of Duty story, just regulators taking a look at them, like smaller things don't raise as many red flags or
Exactly.
eyeballs. And it's like, this is fine. They're not taking ownership. They're not even increasing like, powers, government powers or whatever. Excuse me.
This man's coughing. This man's coughing.
I choked on my saliva.
This man's coughing.
Choked on my saliva. Yeah.
Likely story.
A likely story, yes. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's just like less scrutiny for them, yet they're still doing good business.
I mean, that's why,
expanding their
like,
portfolio.
The richest companies in the world, like the biggest acquisitions and stuff, I don't know. I've never heard of them,
Right.
Like, the big players are more like Tencent, like, than Microsoft or the companies you've heard about. They do big razzle-dazzle deals, but, like, there's so many companies just doing business stuff where they own 8% of everything, and you're just like, oh, okay. Like, cool. You're the richest thing that's ever happened. Qualcomm or whatever. Like, okay, great.
But yeah, the basic conclusion that they put, Eve said here, the expansion of the concert with Tencent further reinforces Ubisoft's core shareholding around its founders and provides the company with the stability essential for its long-term development.
I pictured
Yeah.
him saying that while literally like counting money, like sitting on a throne of money. It's just like, this increases the concert of the Guimio family or whatever.
But it just, it just feels like just this insane 4D chess kind of in my head, because it's like, okay, so the way that we're going to not be acquired is we're going to sell the company that has the percentage of the other company.
But they built in that Tencent can't sell for that period. So, like, if you'd make a deal like this with the wrong person, they buy 5% and then sell that 5% to Vivendi or whatever for double.
Right.
And then you're hosed. But that's why they built that in there. But also the loan, they got to pay that
here's
back.
The thing. Some of Tencent's prior ownership came from that failed Vivendi.
I'm sure.
They bought that stuff off of it.
I'm sure. Like,
Maybe their goal is to like run it into the ground so they can then take it over. And I'm just kidding. Not
well,
really.
I mean, that's the interesting thing, right? Is like Vivendi wanted to take it over, and Tencent is just like, no, we'll just passive income. We'll just give you a loan and take more percentage and whatever. We don't care about voting. Like, whatever, do what you want. Make the games shorter, maybe.
Yeah, doesn't sound like they care about getting involved in anything directly. Just give us more like big shares, but like not bigger voting rights. So it's just like, give us more money. We just want the 49.9%. It's like, we just want like a lot of money from you.
That is the kind of wealth, dude. That is like the dream of wealth, to just be like, nah, I'll just invest in you. Whatever. Like, do what you want. I just want a piece of your pie.
Yeah, I just want like
I don't want to do anything.
Yeah, can I just get 20% of the common fund?
Yeah, just like, here's $30 million, whatever. Just, I don't know, give me 6%.
And I'm sure
We'll see it never.
I wonder if this like deal even like is like a dent in Tencent's like a war chest.
Tencent, this is probably like who knows how many millions, but
Yeah, but I think the good news at least is it will help Ubisoft from being swallowed up by somebody else.
What's so funny about that is like, I don't care.
Sure.
Like, I don't care who owns Ubisoft.
I mean,
Ubisoft, it's not like they're making great decisions all the
Right.
time.
I was gonna say like,
or
honestly,
that they're managing themselves very well.
Unfortunately, it feels like maybe like a change of management
might be good.
actually have been
Like,
good. So
get it out of the family, maybe. Like,
I get the balance of they make original games. No one's telling them what games to make, and from average perspective, like I like, not me personally, but like the average consumer's like, I like getting my Assassin's Creed games every year, or every 2 years. Like I want to keep getting these types of games, or Rainbow Six games or whatever. And then, then we have people who pay a little bit more attention like us. It's like, but it would be nice if they like maybe treated people better over there,
Right.
and like. But I think this had had nothing to do with this. Probably also like Tencent wanted agreed to all these things. Just like, we don't want any direct involvement. Like if something goes bad, it's
true.
It's like we had no
true.
involvement. We're pulling
plausible deniability.
Yeah, it's like, you guys,
hey, we don't have voting rights.
Yeah, we didn't do shit.
Hey.
So
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too, is like,
Well,
I don't
voting
think
rights, but not veto rights.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think Vivendi was trying to buy them to like, help the workers.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
You want to trade my voting rights for your veto rights?
Yeah. What's better? Probably voting. I don't know what's better.
I vote for this. I veto it.
Veto's just like an anti-vote, I guess. Sometimes I wish we had those for Game of the Year.
Ooh.
Last
Veto
Guardian.
vote. Yeah, anti-votes. Yeah,
I proposed them. I proposed an anti-vote. I did. I proposed it before. It didn't go over well. It got shot down.
But it's an interesting turn considering all the acquisitions that we've seen.
Aquas.
Yeah.
it just makes it sound like Ubisoft, unless they're just in the direst of straits, they're not going to be one of the ones. They could be reading a headline about that some company bought them up. It's just they're not interested in that, and will do everything within their power to not end up like that. So that takes them like off the table.
You'll probably read a headline like Why do I always say Guillermo?
Guillermo.
I'm just thinking about Del Toro all the time.
Yes, it's okay.
The Guillemot brothers, like the headline you'll see is like that they've gone bonkers and locked themselves in the factory and like have cans of gasoline or something and then go down with the ship. I don't know. They seem a little nuts is my point.
It's those rabbits.
Those rabbits. They've been mainlining rabbits. Straight to the veins. The hell am I talking about?
We've got more news to come, but if you've been enjoying this show so far, please take a second to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. It helps us out and it helps you to stay connected. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Now, a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. I sometimes focus on problems instead of solutions. It's easy to focus on the negative instead of accentuating the positive. As the old Andrews Sisters song says with Bing Crosby, you got to accentuate the positive. It can be hard to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode, is what I'm saying. Because life is hard and it throws weird things at you all the time. And a therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easier to accomplish your goals, big or small. I love having a therapist. It is, I would say, necessary for life. I think that everyone should have a therapist. They have helped me through getting bullied in middle school, dealing with depersonalization, dealing with my gender, dealing with the deaths of both of my parents, dealing with relationship stuff. It's essential to talk to somebody and not feel so alone, and to help them. They help you help yourself, you know? Also, not every therapist is a perfect fit right away. So many people I know that I talked to, I'm like, you should have a therapist. And they're like, oh, I tried it once, it didn't work. And I was like, you just had the wrong therapist for you. Shop around, which you can do on BetterHelp. It's actually really easy to just find a new therapist, switch. You can talk online. You don't have to be seen if you don't want to. You can do text or calls. It's very nice. If you're thinking about giving a therapy a try, BetterHelp's a great option. Convenient, accessible, affordable, entirely online. Get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey and switch therapists anytime. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/allies today and get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/allies. 10% off your first month. Give it a shot. This episode is also brought to you by Chime. What goes great with a summer vibe? How about a checking account with no monthly fees? Every time you get a fee, it's like losing out on an ice cream cone. I mean, I guess those fees would be pretty great. Like, I don't know. Yeah, fees are like $3. An ice cream cone is like $3. It's like a cool breeze. Chime. Refreshing way to handle your money. With no monthly fees, no maintenance fees, or minimum balance fees. That's how banking should be. And when you need access to your money, you can do so fee-free at more than 60,000 in-network ATMs at many locations like most Walgreens, 7-Elevens, and CVS's. You can also send money to anyone, even if they aren't on Chime. Fee-free for you, and no cash-out fees for them. Chime! No monthly fees, no vibe-killing fees. Signing up for a Chime checking account only takes 2 minutes, and it doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/allies. That's chime.com/allies. Allies. Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided by and debit card issued by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees apply except at MoneyPass ATM in a 7-Eleven location and at any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. Other fees such as third-party and cash deposit fees may apply. Get started at chime.com/allies. That is chime with an m.com/allies. Thanks.
And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. I'm gonna throw a curveball. We're gonna swap.
Oh,
Isla Dawn swap.
what the hell?
Get out here.
Come on now, Dawn. You're the next guest on Easy Allies podcast.
Why are you bringing me in here? I haven't played this game, Blood.
It's fine.
All right.
We're talking about more about this game.
Oh, I was hoping I was gonna get to play Plinko.
We got a Plinko board in the other room.
Could we play Plinko, Blood? I got a swap for you.
We can I can send Gabby to grab the
never
lucky
been done.
loot board.
Uno reverse.
It's never been done on the podcast.
Cobra Kai 2 Dojo's Rising is coming this fall with 28 playable characters. Got a new gameplay trailer. Downside, as Damiani pointed out, is this $49.99.
Ouch.
Just about full. Wait, is it 49 or 59?
thought it was.
Okay, so it's $49.99 for the standard edition. The Nemesis edition is $59.99. That enables you to play as any of the 5 enemy boss characters in the All Valley tournament mode.
No.
Sounds worth it, actually.
So you go to the mat with Hammer, Bo, Gabriel, Skeleton Lord, and even Terry Silver. It also adds a bonus jukebox feature so you can listen to your favorite tracks from the game's original score by composers Zach Robinson and Leo Berenberg.
Don, is this your water? Did we switch waters too?
Shit.
That's my water, yes. I think.
In here is your water?
Yes. In there.
That's my water in there?
Yes. Did you just drink mine?
No, I was asking first.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Sorry to derail that. Sorry, the curveball threw me.
The key features, 28 playable characters, as we mentioned. Special skills, choose your dojo from Eagle Fang, Cobra Kai, Miyagi-Do. Recruit and train new students to take into battle and dominate your rivals. They've got the Owl Valley tournament. They've got the story mode. Don, you're a little high there. And then
Mike is high.
crush your enemies is a bullet point. I don't understand. But they've listed some locations. They talk about collecting chi and coins to improve skills. All this stuff. Damiani, you had reactions. Give me some reactions. You played this with Huber.
Yeah. So
Huber's not here, unfortunately.
Obviously, being a big Cobra Kai fan with Huber and playing through it, definitely carried a lot of the enjoyment with that. It was a competent, I'll say, competent brawler. And you know Huber loves brawlers, beat 'em ups, and it was cool to see the location, see the characters from the show. Little long, the campaign for the
Yeah,
first
that's
one.
the takeaway I got.
Out.
This game's crazy
A
long.
little drawn out, so at least for the price, it was like maybe they're trying to make sure you get your money's worth with that. But it was like a kind of like a side-scrolling beat 'em up. This one's like 3D, like a little bit more, I don't know, like free roaming a little bit, but I gotta say, I feel bad that Huber's not here to maybe like defend because he thinks it looks okay. I feel like I thought the animations did not look very good. I thought they looked very cheap, looked very stiff. They talk about all these modes and content. Like that sounds pretty good. Having like the 3 different dojos, which is like what we're going into in the new season. Having like these 3 dojos, kind of like going head to head against each other. Large cast, love that. Like 28 characters,
Yeah,
you said
that
that. Like
sounds
that's
excellent.
Yes, like I don't want anyone to be left on the sidelines there. Like bring everyone, including hopefully they got bad boy Mike Barnes showing up as well. Give a shout out for Hubert
Yeah,
for that
Don,
one.
Don, do you watch the show at least at all?
No, I watched
Okay.
I only watched I think a season and a half or something.
You swapped him in there for nothing.
No, we're not done. We're not done.
Go.
We got more.
Okay.
It's pronounced Dawn.
Down.
Don't.
At that price, it's I have some concerns and stuff. So Huber and I will definitely probably give it a shot. But I think if it's not any better than the first one, I think, maybe not quite a full playthrough will be in order.
Sure.
Because the whole thing with the first one is you played through one perspective. You either played as Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai, and then they wanted you to go back through the campaign through the other perspective.
Got it.
And do that. And it had some competent stuff with the combos, unlocking the abilities. They had the talent trees and stuff like that to unlock stuff. And we had some fun learning new moves and abilities and using those on bosses, and bosses were kind of funny. There's some fun boss battles, I'll give it that. They were amusing boss battles, but this one, because it looks like it's trying to be a little bit more ambitious, it just doesn't seem like it's pulling it off just as well. I think the first one was able to kind of mask some of its shortcomings, but yeah, this is a little too ambitious and doesn't look like it has the resources needed. It feels sadly like it might be trying to capitalize and cash in on that popularity of that series, but potentially that might have been huge license fees. Might be trying to recuperate those costs from the license fees. The developer, I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's kind of
well, they also have the time crunch too.
Yeah,
right. To try to get
that's
it out
always
there in
saying.
timing
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Licensed games are generally not very good because they have a very hard deadline to make, and they'll tell everyone to cut corners, cut that content, just get it running with no major bugs, so we could get it out there and ride that momentum, that hype wave. And I feel bad because I feel like Huber might say some more positive things about this from his perspective, but yeah, it's hard to see it as anything other than it's probably going to be underwhelming, unfortunately.
Any counter thoughts?
I know
Any kind of
nothing
points?
about
No?
this game. I haven't
That's
played
fine.
the first one. Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
haven't played either of them. And I'm
But
not invested in the show.
Don, you do play a lot of beat 'em ups.
Yes.
Do you think we're in a beat 'em up revival? Do you think this is a point where
I would love to say we are, but I can't say we are. Obviously,
You don't think we are?
Well, I think we've had some of the most wonderful beat 'em ups ever. I mean, we're obviously Streets of Rage and Turtles recently being revived in marvelous ways. But as a genre, to say it's going to be a new golden age right now, I don't know, just because the titles that have been brought back in major ways are titles that just had so much love and nostalgia with them that it's just something that fans were waiting for, and so they're executed perfectly. That's great. However, there's been some other ones. Final Vendetta, for instance, was one recently. A lot of these that are just flying right past people's radar because it's if it's not a known, loved franchise from the past, it's, I think, just not on people's radar. And one of the reasons, the biggest obstacle probably the genre has, is just the joy of playing those actually together. Couch co-op is such an important thing. You know what I mean? It's we're not ever completely going back to that place of where it was when they were in their heyday. So I think that is a big obstacle in terms of cause generating a bunch of new beat 'em up brands that are not already based on something that's beloved. So I would love to say I hope we are entering, but in some ways we are. I mean, we've got to be so grateful for a couple of these ones that have come out recently, because we've had a lot of great beat 'em ups released in the last few years. But I don't know, Turtles should have gotten a 94 also. So they've got, well, that's a tangent.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, do you think these?
Not from I'm saying Metacritic.
We played Shredder's Revenge. We played some of those original Turtle games, and do you think that it really shows the contrast between a modern beat 'em up versus what we remembered?
Right. I think that is important. And that's the crazy thing about these release schedules. Damiani, do you think if the Cowabunga collection came out a month before Shredder's Revenge actually would have been reviewed by and large, overall, more positively? I think 100% it would be. It would have a higher
I think it
overall-
could have been the opposite. I think
really?
people might have played these and you know what? These things they're not as good as I remember, so I don't want to pick up this new
But
one.
that's no, but I'm talking about the critical reaction to it. Maybe it wouldn't have sold as, who knows, blood. Right, exactly. Maybe it would have hurt the commercial success, but I think critically, it would have made a big impact because people would have been reminded. I was really familiar with a couple of these old ones, but even going through the Cowabunga collection, I was like, wow, like the refinement on Shredder's Revenge is like even more impressive than I remembered. How much they integrated of every part of those old games. I had really forgotten how many like similar things all the different version of the Turtle games did, and then the fact that they included, I mean, you knew they had all the characters and locations and all that, but there's just a million tiny little details about it, and the feel too. The overall feel of all those games is very similar, that slippery kind of thing you get into.
Yeah,
but
I think that's actually one of the biggest things that's improved, right?
Yeah.
It is the hit feel.
That is perfect.
Because we were playing the first Turtles games,
Yeah.
those arcade games, and like, am I hitting them or not? I'm not
especially
sure.
The first arcade game, yeah, it's like I played that in the arcade actually a couple
Hit
months ago, and I was
stop,
like,
yeah.
I had forgotten how loosey goosey this thing feels. You get in the zone after a while, obviously, but
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you mean like hitting enemies, not enemies hitting you. Yeah, right.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
correct,
yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense. I maybe been a little bit guilty of this, like, but I think maybe too many people were like overanalyzing the order. I don't know how much it really would have made a deal
Sure.
which came out first. I don't think it would have had drastic changes on both critical reception
Really?
and or sales. I think they were probably roughly going to sell what they were going to sell. I mean, I think people are still, you play Shredder's Revenge first and you play Cowabunga Collection second, you're still going to like probably draw the conclusion one way or the other, oh, they weren't as different, maybe Shredder's Revenge didn't do as much, or yeah, it really did. Like, I think, you play in the other order, you're still going to see it that way. I don't think it's going to like necessarily paint you in a kind of biased way, like paint your biases a little bit.
I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, I really feel, but when I played Shredder's Revenge, I loved it, but I really was like, wow, I had kind of forgotten this is, but even though they added a lot, it's like a very simplistic fighting game in many ways. Even Shredder's Revenge that added so much, just that series
Right.
was very simplistic as a beat 'em up. But honestly, going back for when I saw really how extremely basic some of the stuff is on the old games, and just how well they incorporated everything, the entire feel of it, so accurately refined it in like a better way than I thought. And I loved Shredder's Revenge the first time I played it, but after Cowabunga, it like went up even higher in my book. So I don't know, but you don't think so?
No, I mean, I haven't played the Cowabunga Collection yet, so I can't compare.
Okay, play it. See what you think. You might be surprised.
We will be playing it very soon. Yes.
I can't wait.
Yeah. But with the obviously like with the arcade games,
Yeah.
like the replayability just comes down to like, well, I've got a couple of quarters and let's see how far I can get, right? Until you get to like, what was it, Leatherhead or somebody that was just like annihilating
annoying.
us.
The Leatherhead in the arcade one is annoying.
But
so easy on the Super Nintendo one.
right. But what do you think makes for a good replayability in a beat 'em up in a home setting?
That's for a beat 'em up. Is like so much as the camaraderie of who you're playing with, because it is a very like, I don't know, in my opinion, it's a like beat 'em ups a lot of times, especially longer ones. It is like, even the very good ones, it is like I was saying earlier, kind of a meditative kind of like trance type of thing you get into, because it's like even within the whatever systems they have of upgrading the characters and even the more complicated beat 'em ups, it's like still a very repeatable kind of methodical thing that's just you're like, and so that side by side fun of the person you're with is like a big part of the experience for me. I don't know.
They did have like the individual leveling for the characters, unlocking characters. Like I think that
right.
helps. But to channel Huber, because he's told this to me several times about Streets of Rage 4, like just having like the character progression, unlocking new characters, unlocking new moves on them as well, makes you want to go back and play. But also the support the game got. Maybe from the launch or out of the gate, if Turtles Shredder's Revenge had like a Mr. X's Nightmare type mode, like a specialized mode where it like puts like a twist on the gameplay. Having like something more like akin to like a challenge mode would have helped, because I mean, Streets of Rage 4, played it once with like Huber, I had a good time, but I had like no real inkling to play it again. But then when Mr. X Nightmare came out, I was like, oh man, like this is like that just nature of it like made it very nice to play, because like it's like pretty much unwinnable. You're gonna only, it's like just how far can you get, and the randomness, like the RNG to it is like really nice.
The RNG makes a huge
like the strategy, like which one do you want, which perk do you want to take,
and because in the genre at whole, it's like Right, because it was born out of the arcade for the most part, it was all the quarter-based thing, like how far can I get? So in terms of playing beat 'em ups at home, for me especially, it's kind of like similar to the racing genre where what gets you obsessed about replaying it is the same principle of the arcade. You're going to say, like, how far am I getting on one life? How far can I get through the whole game? And you know what I mean? It's all about perfecting your run, really, the same way you do in a racing game, where it's like, it's not a problem that you're rerunning the same levels because it's all about how you flawlessly execute it better and better every time, you know, which is super satisfying for most people, I think, that like beat 'em ups. I know that in terms of playing them over and over, because most of them aren't super long either, with exception to these revivals that are like, you know, Shredder's Revenge and Streets of Rage were very generous with the amount.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I was, I'm wondering, because like when you have something like, even as much if they've done with Shredder's Revenge, it's still a pretty simple, quick game to get through, at least on a normal difficulty.
Yeah.
You get into the hard, then it's a little unfair.
Well,
it's a little crazy.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, though, actually, about with some of these newer ones like Shredder's and Streets of Rage 4 having, like, 15, 16 levels, whatever is 20. Streets of Rage, what is it, almost 20, I think, or something? So much longer than most of the classic beat 'em up genre was always like somewhere maybe 7 to 10 stages, something like that. And in a way, I gotta say, because in general, that it's the kind of game when you do play it, you want to kind of run through the whole thing, obviously, you know. So it's kind of funny because these longer games, even though it's great, you love all the levels and everything, in terms of, it's like I kind of like getting all the way through in one thing. And when it's 15, I mean, it does take it's a big difference between being like an hour of getting through a game on, this type of game to like 2.5 hours, whatever, of a beat 'em up is like kind of a long play session, maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going for that perfected run. It's like you make some critical errors in stage 14 and you're like, oh man. But like replaying Cowabunga Collection, for instance, I did the same game multiple times on the same day even to just be like, I'm going to do it a little better now. And it's only like an hour commitment, so I'm just going to run it again. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think that helps the replayability. Is the short length of the older ones, whereas like Treasure Revenge is on like the longer end.
You're pretty much gonna continue that. So it's like unlikely that you're gonna very often.
One thing I thought was disappointing with Shredders is they implemented this idea of like having side quests or whatever.
Oh.
And it was just like find the things,
So
and once you
basic.
found them, it didn't really do anything.
Right. Not a lot of payoff.
Like, I mean, there
either.
wasn't any reason to go back.
It gave you
or
a ton of
anything.
like experience points essentially to like level up. Like,
and they were all just so simple and easy,
Yeah.
though. You pretty much got it, I think, on your first run through. For
Yeah, I
the
didn't
most
have
part, you could.
anything like was it like Scott Pilgrim had a bunch of like secrets, like warps and stuff
Right.
like that. Just like
Yeah, because that's one thing I was thinking is like, if you had like more like levels that like branch off more and stuff, like Star Fox style, it's like, okay, if you go
right.
through
Yeah,
this
super
door,
fun,
you'll go
yeah.
off to a different stage than than going all the
choosing
way through.
just choosing paths. I mean, older Castlevania games did this, like just a way to like that would have been good actually. I think. Yeah, I guess Dawn. I have one question for you because we're talking about like the earlier question about Golden Age and if we're in it or not. You talked about like new games coming in, but maybe they're going to the radar. What about revivals? Is there any like popular series that hasn't gotten a revival that you feel like is absolutely deserving of one and should maybe like try and come back?
Yeah, there's so many obscure beat 'em ups that I thought I knew about a lot of beat 'em ups, but wow, I've picked up some weird ones on the Switch.
Right.
Virtual.
Well, the Arcade Archives ones, right?
Yeah,
They've
there's so many.
Brought out a lot of those.
Yeah, Zero Team. This is a random game. I've been telling people I just played it. It was there's all these random ones like that aren't necessarily had a bunch of sequels, but ones that were so good that you're like undiscovered. You don't know that you never heard of them. They're so good. The action is fast. They have like items and everything, destructible environments and breakable stuff. And this is stuff that came out in the early 90s, late 80s, maybe even sometimes. Zero Team, I believe, is the one. I hope I'm getting this right. I'm almost positive it's Zero Team. I would love to see a remake of this game because I played it recently a few times, ran it through, and it's so fun. Insanely deep, too, for the time. And I would just love to see a take on it. But that's the thing. It's like a risky thing, like some of these other ones. Even, what's the one?
What about
Okinawa Rush?
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that. Even, titles like that got a fair amount of coverage, whatever. It got a little bit of hype. I don't think did like fantastic, which is just hard to do for the genre unless it has that. nostalgic factor of like.
I wonder, because they made it's almost like a joke game, right? Remember they did like the Yakuza Streets of Rage?
Oh, that was yeah.
Like
that was kind
that
of,
could be a cool thing to like make a real
awesome
full game
idea.
out of. Yeah.
Right. The execution of that, I for sure was a little disappointing. I thought, but like the idea was rad. If they did something, I would be like for instance, when they first started showing the very first trailer of Street Fighter 6 or whatever, and they
Oh yeah.
for a brief moment we're like, oh, is this an and just the idea too, though, like I loved Subspace Emissary.
Yeah.
I loved how they executed that so well in Smash, and in terms of like making it a 2D side-scrolling action, but kind of tweaking each level to kind of be the genre of the character, all that stuff. And I think to do that kind of thing for a Street Fighter or like a well-known fighting game that isn't a beat 'em up at all, as like I think like a 2D Street Fighter, even as a mode
Right.
within the game, even without a lot of stages.
We'll
would be,
see. When TGS we're probably going to see this Street Fighter stuff.
Yeah.
See what the single player craziness
Right.
is like.
Apparently, there's a little something there. I don't know if it's a full-fleshed like
Yeah.
game or whatever, but I'm curious.
Very curious about that.
Yeah, and that could be huge then, because then you could be getting brands that are well established like Street Fighter or whatever, and then the risk would be worth it to develop a nice little beat 'em up because it's got the audience. That would be so sick. It's a 2D. beat 'em
So
up Street
so what's your pick? What's the pinnacle right now
of what?
of beat 'em ups? Like what? Not best of all time, but maybe like the one that stands out to you the past couple years, things that have been released. Is Streets of Rage 4 the one?
Yeah, I would say probably. It probably has to be Streets of Rage 4. I mean, it's just so insanely good and so fun to replay. And yeah, the Mr. X's Nightmare, the addition of that, the randomness and the weapons and everything, so addictive and fun to just get into easily and replay. So I can't think of anyone that's quite been as good as probably Streets of Rage. Yeah, I'd have to give it to it. It's great. Isn't it great? Did
Yeah.
we put it? Are we right? It's officially great?
I don't know for sure on that.
Didn't we get it in?
But
I thought
Which game?
I think
Streets of
Hubert
Rage
got
4.
in Streets of Rage 4 for the Hall of Greats.
2.
Did he get
I think he might have got
not
2.
4?
That was 2.
Gotta get 4, and he
I'd be
nominated it.
surprised.
I would be a
Yeah.
little
Look.
surprised, but I
Yeah,
don't think.
Definitely
maybe
voted
2.
for it.
I'm going to hallofgreats.com and checking it out. Keep talking though.
Yeah. What I'm trying to think about some of the other things, because if you're saying like the IP, the recognition,
A golden axe.
Golden
would be
Axe
sick
is
as
a big
hell.
one.
They re-released for the Sega anniversary a little party or whatever
It
it was
was
a year
2.
ago.
It was
oh,
2.
they got 2 in. They re-released that like unreleased, or they released the unreleased playable level.
Would
from
redoing like there's a good Dungeons and Dragons one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tower of what is it? Tower of Mystara or something. It's 2
Something,
games.
yeah.
They're really good. Those would be sick as hell.
Yeah.
The classic
Capcom's
Capcom.
ones,
oh
yeah,
my gosh.
yeah.
And Capcom too is another one that just came up with so many ones we remember, but then so many other odd ones that you don't know
Yeah,
about. that
yeah.
are,
Those
like,
collections they've been
excellent.
full of side scrollers and
Yeah.
fighting games that are
The
just
Dungeons and Dragons
yeah.
ones would be super jolly because those had
Chronicles of Mystara?
Tower of. It was a Tower of something, and I always forget the names of that. but-
Dungeons and Dragons, Tower of something?
Yeah, and those are nice because they have the little light kind of role-playing aspect to them. They have a little few items you can get and a couple different things you can carry and stuff. So that kind of thing.
Tower of Doom.
the
Yeah.
Tower of Doom.
That's a good little 2-pack. I think it's still available.
All right, thanks, Don. We can swap back.
All right, next time you gotta promise there'll be a Plinko board if you're gonna swap.
Also this week, Mr. Battlefield, Lars Gustafsson, is leaving EA and DICE after 22 years. The announcement of this departure came alongside other Battlefield news, including the introduction of Ridgeline Games, helmed by Halo veteran Marcus Leto, who will focus on the narrative development of the Battlefield franchise. So moving and shaking. They're really wanting to pick things up after last year's kind
Yeah.
of Battlefield debacles.
I feel like they need a win. Get that back on track.
Reports are surfacing that there will be more Assassin's Creed games beyond Mirage shown at Ubisoft's press conference. Since that's happening before most of you will see this episode, we'll save our discussion for when we actually see those games.
Heck yeah.
But be on the lookout. Crystal Dynamics is taking control of several game franchises, including Tomb Raider and Legacy of Kain, From the game's previous owner, Square Enix Limited,
There you go.
Eidos Montreal delivered a similar update regarding Deus Ex and Thief. So those franchises are back in the hands of their developers. This is a very interesting one, even if it doesn't mean much for the average person. PS5 1200 models have started appearing in Australia. While it doesn't look different or have different features, it is lighter and uses less power. Austin Evans did a teardown comparison and found significant changes in the motherboard configuration, heatsink, and other components.
Huh.
So, tweaking that thing to cost less money.
Stealth slim, but not any slimmer.
Right. NIS America had a small showcase giving new looks at Grim Grimoire once more. Monster Menu, the Scavenger's Cookbook.
Grim Grimoire once more.
Right. Process of Elimination and Void Terrarium 2, which is the full title, Void asterisk lowercase t uppercase r lowercase r uppercase l uppercase m 2 parentheses on both sides and then a semicolon and then 2 backslashes and then Void Terrarium 2. So there you go.
Yeah.
I think you just say Void Terrarium 2 and ignore the rest, but who knows?
Yeah.
All those games are due to release next spring. Grim Grimoire is one that's just, yeah, I have fond memories of. That was one of my
I've heard
first
of that one.
game trailers reviews on the PlayStation 2. So it's one of those interesting things, though, because it's like you see this upgrade and it's like, yeah, it looks like Grim Grimoire. But obviously, like, that was a PS2 game
Right.
in SD, but your brain just remembers how the art looked.
Yeah.
And seeing it upscaled and everything else, it doesn't even register, even though they've
It
had to
all
do a
looked
lot of work to
HD
make it
our
happen.
Child's eyes.
Cyberpunk 2077 released patch 1.6, which alongside Edge Runners inspired items, it brings a swathe of features to the game, including a clothing transmog system, cross-platform progression, playable Roach Race arcade games, and much more. They also revealed the first...
Roach like the horse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, bugs?
They also revealed the first teaser for the new story chapter called Phantom Liberty, and Keanu Reeves does make appearance in there. Will make a return in the episode, so look forward to that. Hubert just getting
Liberty.
started on Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I was
now,
just saying, he's pretty
benefiting from
excited
all the
about
patches,
this. Yeah. It's got good timing.
Mario Kart Tour is getting rid of gotcha elements.
There you go.
There's just going to be an item shop. No more random draws.
Getting prepared for that Mario Kart 9.
Xbox confirmed the Game Pass Friends and Family plan that leaked earlier. It's currently being tested in Ireland and Colombia. It allows you to share a Game Pass subscription among 5 people as long as you're all in the same country. While there are no details on when this may come to other territories, it seems like it's potentially going to run about $25, allowing you to share with up to 4 other people.
So a savings if you split it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point, is to split it.
Yeah.
We got some UI updates for both Xbox and PlayStation. On the Xbox side, they introduced noise suppression in party chat. So you can silence all the breathing and the music and the controller clicks.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah. They also introduced a thing that they basically stole from Stadia, which I think is hilarious. So like when you share a video on the Xbox whatever dashboard, there will be like a little cloud link, and you just like click on that and just start playing that game.
Oh.
So yeah, when your friends see you did some cool thing in Halo or Forza, like click on that, just start playing it in the cloud right away if they have that Game Pass Ultimate.
That's pretty cool.
Stadia doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah,
they don't.
Stadia ain't using it.
On the PlayStation side, they added the 1440p support. Have you tried it yet, Damiani?
Nope, not yet.
Because I've seen some people saying it's like not working with certain monitors or whatever.
Uh-oh.
So there's-
Damiani.
Uh-oh.
Some back and forth on that.
Will 14 support it?
Huh? Why would I I play 14 on PlayStation?
I don't know. Why would you do half the shit you do?
Oh gosh.
But anime games.
Your precious
Yeah,
anime
I can play them in
games.
1440 instead of 1080 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1440 waifus.
There you go.
PlayStation also got folders.
Yo,
Huber's
five.
happy.
catching up to the Switch.
Huber's happy.
They're calling them game lists.
Game
Why do they
lists.
always come up with different names for these features?
So they can monetize them.
You can have up to 15 game lists
it?
with 100 games per list. They also have some new social features like being able to request a feed to watch a friend's game. And simpler notifications to join a game. If you're in a party with someone, you can more easily just hop into the game with them that they're playing.
Good.
So that's nice. Streamline some things.
Can they add an option to make long hold PlayStation button power off like it used to do?
Right.
Every time I try to power off, it goes into some kind of weird menu, and I'm like, what the hell am I looking at? I don't need a tutorial about this weird thing. I need you to turn off.
And Multiverses added Gizmo from Gremlins,
Yo.
as well as a sweeping round of balance updates and hit detection changes. Did you see the screenshot I put in? So basically, it was so funny because Wonder
Bad
Woman
friend. You're a bad friend, Damiani.
was in this
You didn't
pose.
see that screenshot?
No.
So Wonder Woman is in this pose,
Oh, yeah.
and there was just like an oval that like mostly she was not inside of that used to be her old hitbox.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And now the new hitbox actually like traces her body.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
That seems like an egregious thing that should have been there right away.
yeah.
That might explain why Huber thought it was like
But that game's still
floaty and
in
weird.
beta or whatever too, right? So
Everything is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Does AJ Locasio voice this
I
Gizmo?
don't know. AJ, tell us.
He's the Gizmo on
a new show
I'll
coming.
just ask him,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mogwai.
Yeah, Secrets of the Mogwai.
I looked at his Twitter to see if he mentioned it, but he didn't have anything about it. So
We'll remind him, and then he will tweet about it.
Yeah.
tell AJ to come this weekend if he's open. Get people hanging out.
He's very paranoid about COVID generally.
Oh,
so.
sure.
Don't wait for me. I can say love and respect while asking AJ questions.
It's time for love and respect.
He's not in the game.
Love and respect.
Love and respect. You were right.
Love and
Blood.
respect.
I'm sorry. You were right. You were right, Bloodworth. Chalk it up.
Friends don't let friends text and love
Point
and
one
respect.
to Bloodworth.
Oh, from
Corrections.
Sekiro 505. Hello, Allies. Grounded will be coming out this month, officially. Speaking of things that have been in beta. Will you guys be playing it again? And if so, could you all do like a stream of Grounded every once in a while, like how Isla did for Valheim? And this is actually something we were talking about. Something we were wanting to add into like a schedule is to find some of these games that we can kind of do some group,
Check-ins.
group things on a little bit more regular basis. So we were looking at maybe doing something similar, but Grounded's coming up so fast that it may be the first one. Sea of Thieves is another one we were talking about.
I want to play Sea of Thieves.
But yeah, so like just finding another day of the week to do some like remote group things that kind of have some progression going on.
AJ's busy this weekend.
Progression.
No. Nice.
But yes, I want to play Grounded. We got to hop back in, see if our old fort still
I
works.
kind of wanted to
even.
start over, but we only played like 4 or 5 hours, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I just want to like at the very least like pop in and see what it
It'd be
looks
so
like.
funny to see if like our fort's there, but all the textures are different.
Yeah,
and there's, like,
everything's
completely different bugs running around.
Yeah. Just to see.
It's like here's a cat. Oh, the cat just knocked over our whole fort. Oh.
Yeah. That would be a really funny like thing to put in that game. Like if something's out of date,
Oh,
the cat
yeah.
just walks by and crushes it, but it's like there's nothing you can do because it's just resetting it. But that'd be a cute in-world way to do that. But yes is the answer. Grounded, Sea of Thieves, everything.
Another one coming up would be Dark Tide.
Oh yeah,
Dark.
Get that Dark Tide group going.
and I guess like Diablo 4.
Mm-hmm. From Jason Wojnar. Are most remakes actually sequels? What I mean by this is while many remakes tell a well-known story, they actually make steps to take the series gameplay in a new direction or evolve previous mechanics. While Last of Us Part 1 and Crash Insane Trilogy are remakes, Resident Evil 2 and Final Fantasy VII are sequels, or at least gameplay sequels.
7 is a sequel.
Okay, yeah, 7's more complicated answer than that.
Yeah.
Go watch spoiler mode.
RE2 is like a reimagining, but
Yeah.
not a sequel, I would say. Because, like, I mean, without getting too much into it, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a different game.
The quintessential example to me has always been like the Twin Snakes, because it's like taking a PS1 game, remaking it, but literally taking Sons of Liberty's gameplay and applying it to it, but like also taking liberties with the story to
Sons of Liberties?
Yeah, Sons of Liberties. Yeah, lots of liberties. Yeah, but to various degrees of like, enthusiasm. Some people hate it, some people enjoyed it, but
Which did you do?
Because I wanted Metal Gear on GameCube, I was very excited to play it, and it was really cool to play it with the Metal Gear Solid 2 controls. So it felt like, like Resident Evil 2 Remake has been doing with the new Resident Evils. Like, it fits into a new, like, not continuity, but like a new kind of like existence or whatever, where these are different style of games, but the original still exists. And that's always been a weird thing, because like they've never gone back and retouched Metal Gear Solid 1. And I had fun with it, but also it was absurd. There was a lot of ridiculous stuff. But the better version of Psycho Mantis's theme is in that one.
Ooh.
Oh.
Like that version of the theme was because they
I
incorporated
have to call it up. I never played Twin Snakes.
leitmotifs from the original versions are in the new versions of their themes. But like the way they do it in Psycho Mantis callback is great. It's like really good. Also, you get to have them troll you about your GameCube save files this time instead of just your
The things that he
PlayStation.
pulls up. There's
So you like
Yoshi
Super
is in,
Smash Brothers.
Yoshi is in Otacon's office or something.
Yeah,
too,
there's
right?
like Yoshi dolls,
yeah,
a game.
of course.
Yeah, there's like Easter eggs, and Kojima's having fun with it. So those are like fun remakes. I mean, they're the what if games. You know what? They need more what if remakes of video games.
That's a good point. I mean, that's what remake kind of is.
Yeah, well,
remake.
I like Huber. Reply in the comments. Like Last of Us, like
Huber's never watched this
Last of
show.
Us Part 1 remake. Like they should have like changed it completely. Like what if things went differently and stuff.
Give you a
Just-
choice at the end.
Yeah, like just make us do like different stuff. I'm sorry, just wanted to.
But no, but yeah, I think that is a good distinction, right? Because if you
yeah,
play
yeah.
The Last
Be
of Us
serious.
Part 1, I mean, you're replaying The Last of Us,
Yeah.
with the facelift.
Yeah.
Whereas if you play Resident Evil 2, like you're not playing Resident Evil 2 with the facelift. You're playing a different game that has similar events to Resident Evil 2, but it's not.
It's like
a very different
how
game.
much has to be changed before you get like that's the debate. Like even something like Shadow of the Colossus, which most people would argue is just like a huge graphical overhaul, but they did tweak some of the like the controls in the game.
Yeah.
Like but they didn't want to go too far that you like lost.
Same with Demon Souls, where it's like
Oh, yeah.
it just feels way better to have the 8-way rolling and stuff like that, but is largely the same game,
Yeah. I mean, as limited I played, I would say like I really enjoyed that playing the original. But like there'll always be purists who are like, well, that's enough to change the game. That like they like it's just different enough.
Well,
that,
and
like,
because of that change, they had to change the way enemy AI stuff worked too, because it's like originally you could only roll in 4 directions,
Yeah.
To something like there's a middle ground to this. You got me thinking about the third person DLC or edition coming to RE8.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm very excited for, and it's like that's sort of like a remake in the
Right.
same release. Like it's just a DLC update, but it's like a cool whole new way to do it.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I don't know. I like that.
I was reading a thing when I was looking for headlines. I was reading Night Dive was actually talking about this. I read about it on VGC, but I think it might have been an interview somewhere else. But anyways, they were talking about like internally, it was like they had like 3 different things. Like there's like remaster and then remake, and then I think there was something that was in between, or like maybe like an even more
Reimagining or something.
like bigger, like another term in there. But it was funny because it's like he was saying like even internally they kind of like go back and forth like about the definition of one versus the other, because they have done all of these kind of different takes on things.
That was like us with platformer.
And
What's
what
a platformer?
And even in the midst of like trying to explain it, he said the wrong one and then caught himself. And so it's just like it's such a funny thing that some people will debate about.
It's also funny when you have like Night Dive is a great example of this, because like recently the Blade Runner reimagining came out, remaster, whatever, and theirs is suboptimal, at least
Right.
at release, whereas there was a fan modded like version that was phenomenal. And similar to Silent Hill 2, like there's all this rumors and talk and speculation about Bloober Team or somebody doing a remaster of Silent Hill 2, and it's like that would be awesome, but Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, made by a wonderful community of modders, has already done an incredible job, and it's like it's just not an official thing.
Right.
But there are all these modders just doing like these amazing remasters for people for free. It's just, I don't know, it's wild to me. I love it. I love that people do that. And then when they're better than the real thing, like that's the
Right.
thing is like,
Yeah.
is Enhanced Edition going to be better than Bloober? Like, Bloobers will use a whole new engine, I imagine, so it'll be more like the Resident Evil 2 remakes, you know, or the Capcom remakes. But like, God, Enhanced Edition is real good. Sorry. Anyway.
Yes, I actually found the article here I was referencing. So this is from, okay, so the interview was with VGC from CEO Stephen Kick. What a name. Stephen Kick.
Stephen Kick.
He says, it's really tough, isn't it? We've tried to come up with a definition internally. Based on the work we've done in the past, we've done a little bit of everything at this point. We've done what we like to call enhanced editions. I think that's the third term
Yeah.
I might have been thinking of. Where you're basically taking the
Doesn't
original
start with
game,
an R, though.
making it run on newer operating systems, and then adding some nice quality of life stuff like widescreen support. Then we've got games like Shadow Man, which we consider a true remaster. We did all that quality of life stuff and got it running smoothly at 60 frames per second. But then we did art on top of that, new textures, new models, and even went so far as to work with the original developers to implement stuff that got left on the cutting room floor.
Cool.
And then finally, we've got System Shock, which is a ground-up remake. It's all brand new, but it's still based on the original game, and it's as true to that as we possibly can keep it. And then...
That makes me think about we were kind of talking about this when we were playing Turtles the other day, how there was the arcade version and then the NES version,
Right.
or the arcade version of Turtles in Time and then the SNES version or whatever, where it's like, is this a remake? Because
Right.
they probably couldn't use any of the assets.
mean-
They probably just had to redo it with the roadmap,
In
right?
the day, they were called ports.
Right.
But yeah, what do you
But it's
call
like a
them now?
full, they just redid the whole game based on what
Right.
they did in the other one.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. It
They,
says,
they technically did remake the game.
in the instance of Turok, which is one, you know, love Turok, N64, shout out. But in the instance of Turok and some of the older N64 games, if you play our remaster, slipped up myself there. If you play our remaster, you're going, oh my gosh, this is exactly how I remember it.
Right.
Except it's running at 4K 60. We fixed all the bugs and we made it the experience that we
Yeah.
remember. So
Well, that's exactly what you were talking about before. Is like these remasters. Some games you just want that. You just
Yeah.
want it to feel the way it felt when you were 7.
right.
And
Yeah.
to do that, you make it 60, 4K, and amazing, but feel and look the same as how it looked on a tiny screen this big and you were a child. So, yeah. And then other stuff, it's like RE2, where it's just like, oh, this is phenomenal, and a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
Or Resident Evil, or Final Fantasy VII, where you're just like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing
Yeah.
here.
So good stuff. Thank you for the question. Now let's play a game.
Are you ready for that, Don? There it is. Woo!
Pretty fast.
From Colin Luton.
Proud of you,
Or
Don.
Luton, I'm not sure. Halo, person, place, or ship. I love this.
I love Halo ship names.
Hello, allies. The recent Halo Infinite news has been a bummer, but you know it's not a bummer? The Halo books. I've been getting into the Halo novels recently, and if there's one thing I've learned, Halo loves their proper nouns.
Yeah, they do.
I've got a list of names, some from the games and some from the few books I've read, and you have to tell us if it's the name of a person, a place, or a ship. P.S. Most of these book names come from the Kylo 5 trilogy by Karen Travis and the Forerunner trilogy by Greg Bear. Both I highly recommend.
I really hope that there's a person named like Fall of Integrity.
All right, first one's an easy one. Guilty Spark.
That's technically a person, right?
Person, yeah.
Sure.
The AI monitor of
Yeah,
the Halo
it's like an
Installation
AI,
4,
but it's
Yeah.
if we're limited to those three, it's
AKA the floating bowl guy.
yeah.
High Charity.
That's a ship,
Wow.
I think.
Island was Halo.
I watched a video
Oh, man.
about all the lore
Don, you can guess too, by the way.
before playing Infinite. That's
sure.
my Halo knowledge.
Okay, that sounds. I mean, it sounds like a ship. I'll go with
I
ship.
think it's a ship.
Place.
Damn it!
Covenant capital city. Which
Don
is
screwed me up.
technically a giant
Don.
space colony capable of slipstream jumps, so leader's choice if ship is also acceptable.
Space colony counts as a ship. That's a station. That's no moon. That's a space station.
Pious Inquisitor.
That's a person
Uh,
or a ship.
ship. I'll go with ship this time.
It's a ship.
Hey.
Covenant dreadnought that was stolen after the war and purchased by human insurrectionists.
Dang.
Awesome.
This is a crazy... Okay. Born stellar makes eternal lasting.
Please be a person.
Points.
Oh, please be a person.
Place?
Person.
Woo!
A young forerunner who was the prospective character of the book Halo Cryptum. He would later take the title of Isodidact.
Oh. He would later take the title of James.
Onyx.
Pokemon.
Yeah, trick question. Pokemon. Place?
It's a place.
Woo!
Nice.
An artificial planet built by the Forerunners that may have been a shelter from the flood, but was mysteriously unused.
The Forerunners are crazy. The shit they got up to is nuts. Halo 1, second go round of like reality, basically. Crazy time.
I was following Huber around a lot in Halo. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Chant to green.
Please.
Chant to green?
Chant to green.
To the number?
No, to T-O.
Person?
I really hope it's a person. I'll say ship just so we're diversified.
Person.
Oh, yeah.
A Forerunner, one of the few to survive the firing of the Halos. She briefly held the title of Life Shaper after the Librarian.
So she's a life shaper, which means she chants to green? Like if she chants, things grow?
I don't know.
There's no point in trying to make sense of it, I guess.
In amber clad.
Ship?
I hope that's a person.
Ship.
Yeah, okay.
The UNSC frigate commanded by Miranda Keyes.
Their ship names are so good.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Cartographer.
That's a person.
Oh, yeah.
That's a place.
I
The facility in a Forerunner installation containing the silent cartographer.
which
is
okay.
basically a
All right.
map of-
Okay. The silent cartographer.
I've heard. I was like, I got excited because I've heard cartographer. I was like, I know that one.
I think Sarah might have
I've
voiced
heard it.
that
I've
character.
heard it.
Voice somebody.
Port Stanley.
That's a person.
I think it's a place.
It's a ship.
Damn it!
A UNSC stealth prowler used by Oni Team Kylo 5.
So that's from the books.
Just a couple more. Black Box.
Hell, that could be any of them. Let's say person because it's the weirdest.
Yeah, I'll go with the place.
Person. The personal AI of the head of Oni, Margaret Parangoski.
Love that. Sarah was Despondent Pyre
Oh.
in Halo Infinite.
Got it. Harvest.
I think that's a place.
Ship?
That's a place.
Yeah.
First human colonized planet to be discovered and attacked by the Covenant. Last one. Catalog.
I think that's a place too.
Person.
Could be an AI.
Person. You both kind of right there with the last comment. Technically a collective of forerunner judicial agents,
Oh, right.
but
okay.
a cultural convention has all individuals in the collective considered to be the same being,
Like the
as they have
Borg.
foregone their bodies and personalities as an act of penance.
Brutal.
It's time for bets. This week's bet. Tonight, Splatoon 3 is out. Next Wednesday, I'm going to go into the streets of Splatsville. I'm going to count all of the smaller jellyfish wandering around the hub.
The little short
The
ones.
taller variations, they don't count. Just the small guys. How many small jellyfish will I find? Isla.
26.
Damiani.
I bet 11, and I wagered a smiley face.
What show is that where they do that? Where is that
Celebrity
Jeopardy?
Jeopardy.
Yeah, where they.
SNL.
Don.
I went with 17.
17.
Look at that beautiful art.
Man, I went high at 39.
We've got the highs.
Yeah, the high end we've got pretty locked in there. Last week's bet, Disney Dreamlight Valley released
Oh,
in
this
early
one!
access Tuesday, September 6th. It uses moonstones for its currency, and the standard edition comes with 8,000 moonstones. I asked how many moonstones would the most expensive item in the shop cost on day one. Brad bet 20,000. Isla bet 42,000.
Oh,
I bet 71,000.
good heavens.
So I put in a couple of hours.
Oh yeah, there's only 3 of us.
This game is pulling us in. Pulling
Us?
me in.
Yeah, okay,
Well,
there you go.
Brandon too.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I just trying to like figure out like when I would get moonstones, where optional shops might be. I wanted to make sure. I had asked Brandon, but I wanted to see too for sure to like when you unlock Scrooge McDuck's shop that like everything in there is coins and not moonstones as well.
Okay.
You know. But on day one, at this point, moonstones only get you onto the premium star path.
Oh.
Which is the game's version of a battle pass.
Oh
essentially.
Lord. So wait, the moonstones are the real life currency money?
Eventually, right now you can't buy them, but eventually I think you
Okay.
will be able to.
Okay.
No.
But yeah, so
Or it's 0?
the battle path, the star path right now is they have a bunch of Pixar themed items, and so while you're on the star path, if you do these challenges and things. Do the accomplishments in the games, kind of like how the things that you do like daily in Animal Crossing, like the Nook Mile rewards. On the star path, you get like the little toy balls with the star on them.
Oh, like Pixar.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Pixar
okay.
balls.
Yeah.
And if you have enough of those, then you can unlock different outfits, and you can actually unlock more moonstones, which is funny. It's like, so I spend moonstones to get on the premium star path, which then allows me to get more moonstones, but not enough to make up for the moonstones I spent. Okay. Anyways,
How many currencies are in this bloody game?
there are 2 options there. So you can either spend 2,500 moonstones to simply unlock the premium star path, or you can spend 4,100 moonstones to unlock the premium star path and get 100 star balls. Once the path is unlocked, you can get more moonstones. You can buy more moonstones, but there's no items available for purchase directly. So that 4,100 is the most expensive thing, which means Brad taking that low is the winner, and Damiani is in Brad's seat, bringing our scores to Massive Chubs 17, Split, Malodorous Sea Lions 17.
What are we at?
17.
Both 17?
17.
Yep, tied it
Oh
up.
my goodness.
Let me tell you about patreon.com/Easy Allies. Patreon is how we are funded. Basically, if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy our reviews, if you enjoy that Dreamlight Valley impressions video with Brandon Jones, all of that is paid for and funded by viewers and listeners just like you. So head over there.
Probably
and-
some unlike you.
Yeah. Yeah, some different people in there. I think there's someone who left a love and respect comment that like they're watching from Nigeria, you know, and
That's different from someone not in Nigeria.
yeah. And there's a guy in the community tab from Puerto Rico, so people from all over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah. And you get different perks there on Patreon as well. At the $1 tier, you get this podcast ad-free, and you get 2 extra love and respect questions, including a somewhat pseudo-singing of myself in a game that we just did.
This month, Bloodworth sang.
Not really.
If that's the... Oh, it was
that wasn't
beautiful.
really singing, but yeah.
If that doesn't entice you to become a patron, I don't know what would.
And at $5, you get early access. You get to submit to Love and Respect and Workout Buddies. And you get in on our Discord with a bunch of different channels in there. You can talk about movies. You can talk about F1. You can talk about video games. You can drop in clips. You can talk about video game news, all kinds of stuff happening in that Discord.
There's lots of Discord activities, too, like monthly top 10s and stuff like that. Music playlists
Yeah, they're
now
starting those up.
curated. It's good stuff. Really good stuff.
Also, this whole weekend, easy chillin'. We're gonna be hanging out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, if you're getting this on Sunday, there's still a good 12 hours of easy chillin' to go. So head over there.
Oh, God.
It's also gonna be fundraising, so you can drop in and see the bar go up a little bit, and it'll be a good time. Lots of crazy stuff happening all weekend. And at the top tiers of our Patreon, we've got our shout-outs. This month's shout-outs go to Jabawabs, El Thanis, Greg, the Dark Knight Kettering, and Anacroft. Shout out. Damiani,
Oh boy.
you're in the winner's seat. Mm-hmm. You get to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get the final word on anything you've disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped in your head right now. And you get to sign off with your trademark sign-off.
Cool. So, Blood did due diligence and took the thing I was going to say, because I was going to also say stop now and go watch Easy Chillin' right now.
Yeah.
So, because I've also been away for over a week, so I don't know any videos that are up. So, yeah.
I got a good one coming out on Saturday.
Okay, say it.
It's a secret.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
secret Isla video.
If you know the summer events.
It's a trend. There's a
Yeah.
trend. Every easy living / chillin'.
there you
Also
go.
not
Real
entirely
weird one.
predictable.
Oh, yeah, no.
There you go. Final word. I think it just popped in my head. You know what? Let's hope there's a Nintendo Direct next week. Getting
Well, let's
tired.
hope it's not the day that you do the other thing. But yeah.
Oh, I highly doubt. But let's hope maybe it just happens, because everyone keeps saying they're happening and they don't happen. So I'd like it to happen. So
Yeah, I feel like we hope there's one every week.
yeah, it's like like this. How long we're just not gonna know Breath of the Wild's title? It's like sequel. It's like,
Sure.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
The sequel to
It's
Breath of the
lowest-
Wild.
If it's just called Breath of the Wild 2, and it's like
That is going to be hilarious.
that will be the
That would
best.
be
That
great.
would I actually would
Really-
applaud that.
it'd
I
be
would stand up
really
and
good.
applaud that for them. Yeah. Until next time, may the way the hero lead to the Triforce.
They've been mainlining rabbits. Straight to the veins.
Dark Tide.
Oh, yeah, Doctor.
Dark.
Get that Dark Tide group going.